one of the most important topics of neuroanatomy, functional areas of frontal lobe in supralateral surface. Before going to the core topic, we have to familiarize some important basic concepts. As you know, the cerebrum is the largest part of brain and controls center for various cognitive functions. The cerebral hemisphere is incompletely separated by a longitudinal cerebral fissures, especially the supralateral surface. This is the supralateral surface. The supralateral surface of each cerebral hemisphere is divided into four major lobes. Which are the four major lobes? That are frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and the occipital lobe. Here our main focus is on the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe lies anterior to the central sulcus. This is the central sulcus. It lies anterior to the central sulcus and above the posterior ramus of the lateral sulcus. As you know, the cerebral cortex, it is the outer layer of the grey matter that covers the cerebrum. There is some regions of the cerebral cortex that have specified functions. They are known as functional areas or cortical areas. Here our main focus is on the functional area of frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is a control panel and CEO of our brain. It controls and manages high-level cognitive functions such as decision-making, personality, emotional controls, impulse generation, voluntary movements, and production of cohort speech. Let us see the important functional areas of frontal lobe in the supralateral surface. Just see this picture. First of all, the primary motor area. This is the primary motor area. This is seen in the precentral gyrus, anterior to the central sulcus, and corresponds to Brodmann area number 4. The primary motor area gives rise to 40% of the pyramidal fibers, and it controls the voluntary motor movements of the opposite half of the body. In the motor cortex, the human body is represented upside down in a topographical arrangement. It is known as motor homunculus. Next, the important functional area is the premotor area. It is seen anterior to the primary motor area, and it is formed by the posterior parts of superior, middle, and inferior frontal gyrus, and corresponds to the Brodmann area number 6, and it controls and helping the successful performance of voluntary movements which is initiated in the primary motor area, and it gives rise to the majority of the extrapyramidal fibers. Next is the frontal eye field. It is located in the posterior part of the middle frontal gyrus and anterior to the premotor area, and it corresponds to the Brodmann area number 8. It controls what? It controls the conjugate movement of eyeball. Next is the most important motor speech area or Broca's area. It is located in the pars triangularis and pars opercularis of the inferior frontal gyrus, and it corresponds to Brodmann area number 44 and 45. It helps in what? It helps in the production of proper articulated speech. Next, the rest of the frontal lobe, especially the anterior-most part of the frontal lobe, anterior to the primary motor area and premotor area. It is the prefrontal cortex. These are Brodmann area number 9, 46 and 45. It helps in memory formation, decision making, judgment, reasoning, personality, and emotional control. Let us discuss the important clinical features and lesions of functional areas of frontal lobe. If there is any lesion in the primary motor area, it causes the contralateral hemiplegia. So the primary motor area, any lesion in this area causes contralateral hemiplegia. If there is any lesion in the motor speech area or Broca's area, it causes the inability to produce proper articulated speech. It is known as motor aphasia or express aphasia. The patient can't find right words to express what they wish to say, but they can understand the written and spoken language. Now we are going to the second part to see the actual specimen of brain. Are you interested to see an actual specimen of brain? This is brain specimen. we'll try to localize the important functional areas of frontal lobe which studied earlier. So this is the superlateral surface of cerebrum. This will be the central sulcus. This will be the lateral sulcus. With the help of these two sulci, the superlateral surface of cerebrum is divided into 4 major lobes, which all are frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Let us more concentrate on the frontal lobe. So look at the approximate locations of various functional areas of the frontal lobe. First of all, anterior to the central sulcus is the precentral gyrus. It is occupied by the primary motor area. It is the Brodmann area number 4. Now you can see anterior to the precentral gyrus, the frontal lobe is divided into 3 major gyri by 2 sulci. The 2 sulci are superior frontal sulcus and inferior frontal sulcus. The 3 gyri formed are superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, and inferior frontal gyrus. The inferior frontal gyrus is just above the lateral sulcus. Now, anterior to the primary motor area is the premotor area, means anterior to the precentral gyrus is the premotor area. This is a premotor area. It is formed by the posterior parts of the superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, and inferior frontal gyrus. It is a Brodmann area number 6. Then another important functional area is the frontal eye field. This is a frontal eye field. It is seen just anterior to the premotor area at the level of posterior part of the middle frontal gyrus, and it is the Brodmann area number 8. Then the other important functional area which occupies the rest of the frontal lobe, especially the anteriormost part of the frontal lobe, it is the prefrontal cortex. This is the prefrontal cortex. Next, the most important area of the frontal lobe is the motor speech area or Broca's area. It occupies in the pars triangularis and pars opercularis of the inferior frontal gyrus. It belongs to Brodmann area number 44 and 45. Hope you all understood this class. I would like to end the section by saying a mindful quote. Fill your brains with giant dreams so there is no space for petty pursuits. Thank you.